Good morning from Canterbury. I'm in actually Whitstable for a couple of weeks working, but I'm staying for a week in Canterbury, and I'm lucky enough to have the chance, the opportunity to enjoy this peaceful part of the world, especially the cycling in the morning and the afternoon through the Crab and Winkle Way. That is a beautiful walking path and cycling path that goes through a beautiful forest that divide Whitstable and Herne Bay with Canterbury. You can see a little bit of it. This is like the first part, and then it gets nicer and nicer with trees and just the woodlands and the nature. It's how what I want to talk about it is actually something that happened when I arrived to my accommodation. So as we know, nothing happened by accident, and before I found this Airbnb, I actually tried to go in two different ones that didn't go through. So the first one is actually the one I'm going to go next week, but for this week the host at first was late to reply, and then I found something cheaper but didn't go through, and then when I tried to get back to the original Airbnb, it was already gone. Then I found another one that was in a village near Canterbury, too cheap to be true, and actually at some point the host called me to tell me that actually the advertisement of that room was a mistake, and that's how at the end I found the place I'm staying now. So I'm not here to talking about Airbnb, even if it sounds like, but it's what happened when I arrived. So the first day after work, I did my cycling through the beautiful forest, and when I got to the flat, looking around, a strong deja vu hit me. I already been there. It was so strong, but what was more interesting was the fact that after like few minutes, I remember why I felt that I've been there before. I did dream there. So now, differently than some other dreams, as I wrote and spoke before, that actually I did happen to go to places that I did dream it before in all the details. But so in this case, I can't remember if the building was exactly the same. It's only now this memory, because I think that in the dream the building was bricks, while those building here are made of I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, different material. So I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if in the dream they were different or the same, but like the road between the two buildings, the one I'm staying and the one I dreamed before, there was like a area made out of grass that was exactly the same as in the dream. Then there was some trees dividing the building I had in the dream with another building, and the road, the bending. So all those are exactly as I dream. The building position grass in front of the building, the trees next to the building, the other building, the road bending, they were all part of the quarantine. That for that I'm sure 100%. So I'm not. I mean, even in now, even if the buildings in the dream was exactly the same, it's nothing that to be surprised for. At least not for me, because it's already happened before. It's already. I know that it's possible, so I'm not. I'm not surprised, obviously, any longer. But it was just what interested me, what fascinated me is like trying to understand why they are happenings, like what is tried to telling me. I know that when I reach a state of peace, inner peace, like I am emotionally balanced and connected, I know that those kind of events happening, synchronicities, vision, dream that comes through, voices from the other side, messages from the other side, and so on. Meeting the right people at the right time, and so on. So I know that happens when only when I do have a inner peace, and it's for a for a certain time, like prolonged time. But I don't have a control, and I don't know if it's possible to control this. Like what I am trying to understand, if even if I'm able for a long time to maintain a state of inner peace, so that recharge me spiritually, connects me to the other side, and to the energy that surrounds all our planet. Do I am I able to control them? Am I able to decide what to experience? So now, obviously, some say yes, some say no. No, I'm not sure about it. All I know is that once the peace within is there, then I know that magic things, mystical things will start to show up in my life. So now I don't want to focus only on this episode. So I wanted to talk about it because just to bring more awareness and just to add my experience in the pool of other people's experiences, because obviously I'm not the only one. There are millions of people experiencing those things. Obviously, as a small part that is naturally now getting bigger decided to start to talk about it, but that's happening because more you share, more you're making people aware that our reality is not just what we've been made to believe. Wake up, go to work, go home, eat, sleep, and repeat until you die. So sharing that there is more than that life have a greater meaning than that, is obviously is bringing more people to want to share it. But there is a lot more that they had life is mystical experiences like this, dream coming through, near death experiences, seeing like that soul and so on, that not talking about it because they're afraid, they're worried to be judged, they're worried to be called crazy. So there are much more than what we think. And that's the reason why it's so important, I believe, to share and to talk about it, because I mean, our society has never been good. It's always been a society built on exploitation and people suffering. And this has always been there since we can remember, or at least since I can remember. Now, it's maybe because of internet, maybe because really our inner frequency is rising, or because there is a worldwide awakening, but it's becoming, all this exploitation, this suffering is becoming more and more and more evident. And that's something is going on right now. I think it's something that maybe already happened many times before, but it feels like something or someone or like a group of people is trying as hard as they can to suppress all this mass awakening. All those world events that are happening, like one next to another, like, I live in UK, so Brexit, then COVID, then the war, then the climate craziness. So it's happening like one exercise, one next of the other, in a way that feels not accidentally, not at least to me. I mean, at least in my lifetime, those events occurred, but scattered through the time. Like maybe after a few years, something big would happen. But now it's really like, so that's why it feels like something is urging, is hurrying up to get people consciousness back to the dark rabbit hole. I mean, as I said before, if you can experience like the magic of life when you have inner peace, and means that when you are in the state, you become fearless, you become happier. So the opposite, it's fear, sadness. When you are happy, you're more willing to do things you will never do when you're sad and you fear. So the feeling is that something is trying to push back this mass awakening. I strongly feel that is happening because I can see it. I can see with my work. I talk to people on a daily basis, hundreds of people every day, and as I was telling to a friend a few weeks ago, the amount of people in the last, actually in the last, I would say probably 7 years, the amount of people talking about changing their life, trying to find a meaning, people that goes to yoga or meditations or go traveling, like people that talks about spirituality, talks about a world of unity, a connection. It became more and more and more and more like I never heard before, and you can call it coincidence, but when all of this, when I start to notice all of this, it's when all those major events took place. Brexit, the problem in the European Union, the problem between China and United States, and then COVID, and now the war, and then the inflation, economic crisis, the climate, the change, the climate change. So it's all happening in one time. Has feel like to don't give people time to think, to repress all those feeling of happiness, of joy, of unity, connection. So because when you can't feed your family, you fear, and then you start to think for yourself, and you start to try to protect yourself. So automatically you are against anybody else that might put in danger you and your family. So what we call inflation, economic crisis, I strongly believe is made by design. Our society has been created and funded and made in a way where everything goes around money. You need to pay the bills with money, you need to pay school fees with money, you need to pay the mortgage with money. So everything has been made in a way that if you don't have money, you fucked. They made you pay an extortion for a house, so you need the mortgage. So if you don't have money, you lose the house. So now, with this made by design, so like this purposely created economic crisis and inflation, people are worried to lose their house. People are worried to not have enough money at the end of the month. People are worried to not have money to feed the kids. All of this is creating fears and disconnection. So it's now becoming, for most of us, me against you. Because if you survive, I might not survive. So I prefer you die and I stay alive. That's what they want. That's what the system, how it's created. The system is created in a way where everybody exploit each other. So you have at the top of the pyramid, they exploit everybody else, and then you have like layers where they exploit the one below and until the bottom. All the system is created in a way where even if you want to help others economically, if you want to help others, it's basically you can't, because you might not be able to survive yourself economically. So it's all built in a way where you can barely arrive at the end of the month, or you might arrive, but if you even think about it, trying to sustain or support others, you can't, because you barely can support and sustain yourself. So it's a vicious circle that they're repeating years after years, because then kids become parents teach the same value to their kids, and then it keeps going on and on and on, where there is no really need to do anything from the top to change it. And if something is happening that start to change, like I strongly believe it happened since like 7 years ago, then they're gonna start to interfere at creating events or pushing propaganda agenda that basically like distract people. Because if like what's going on right now with all this news we're getting, of disasters and wars and crisis, all it does is distracting you from thinking about your spiritual growth, your spiritual evolution, and it redirect your focus on surviving mode. So fear, worries, stress, and these are all low energy that keep you stuck in the bottom, unable to rebel, unable to evolve. You basically become someone that just survives until it dies. And this is what have been done for centuries, is just change the way they are doing that. It's change the way they exploit people. It's just changing. Is that the concept is always the same. The few that for some reason are able to gain all the wealth and the power, exploiting all the masses, keeping them suffering and struggling until the moment they were born, until the moment they die. with very little chance and opportunity to try to think if there is something different, if it's something different is possible, and most important, doesn't give you the opportunity to even questioning if what is our existence, what the hell we are here for. I mean, what is this? What is this body? What is consciousness? What is all I'm surrounded from? What is all this all about? It's not, because obviously it can't be just be a sperm, become a human, growing older, working hard, struggling, suffering and dying. Of course it cannot be that. Must be something else, but we don't have the opportunity to think about it because they are not giving us the opportunity to think about it, because all they create is worries, worries, and you're constantly worried. You're being around you has been built a society of appearance where you need to look in a certain way, and if you don't, you're not accepted, so create worries. Society has been built in a way where you need to have a certain job, a certain money, and a certain status, otherwise you are basically excluded, and this create worries. The society has been built in a way where you will never have enough money, never, because they created the needs you don't really need, and this create worries. So can you see the patterns? Can you see how everything works? It's created to constantly make you feel worried, keep you in fear, keep you like stopping you from even try to questioning who I am, who am I, what is all of this that we call life. And it's time. It's fucking time. It's fucking time. I don't know how we can fight back. I'm not talking like physically. I'm not talking about fighting physically, but I'm talking about fighting with our consciousness. Because this is not like wars doesn't solve anything. Like fights, like physical fights doesn't resolve anything. Doesn't, because you can't change things in the same way that you can't fix a problem in the same way that have been created. So the only way is through peace, through pacifism. I don't know how we can change this. I don't know how we can respond to all of this, with love, because it feels so hard. It feels like almost impossible, because if I don't want to kill, if I want to love, but I am against someone that doesn't care about it, he would kill me, because I would not react, because I don't want to kill my brother or my sister, but they will. So it's obviously possible. It's obviously possible to change our society without violence. It's possible. We need to figure out how. If maybe raising our energy maybe is enough. If we can raise our energy, maybe we can. I don't know. I don't have the answer. Obviously, all I can do, from my side is rising up my energy, keep and maintaining my inner peace, try to push away any sensation of fear and worries, and trying to bring awareness around me with those videos, with my writing, with my, talking to my customer and friends and people. Obviously, if enough people does this, things can change, because, more and more people will stop accepting this madness that is the system we live in, but a way it's possible, a way to change all of this madness, it's possible. So we need probably starting from, it is the hardest part, to focus focus on our inner state. That is the hardest part, because everything prevents that. But I strongly believe we are there. It is a changing, a huge changing is happening, like positive changing is happening, because I feel like there would be no other reason for creating so much chaos worldwide. If there wasn't a mass awakening, they wouldn't need to create all of this. They wouldn't need to work so hard, because that's what it looks to me. They are working so hard to keep people in fear, because they know, I strongly believe they know that that's all energy. Everything is energy. So probably the way to fight back is that, rising our inner energy to such a high state that they are not able to touch us, because that higher energy will change our consciousness and state of mind. So I strongly believe we are to a point where there is a change and the beginning of something great. We will see. All right, I wish you a great day, and I'm gonna cycling back now to Whitstable. Have a good day, everybody.